What is up, guys? It is that Pan again. I'm here again with another video, and this video is a little bit of a long one, but you guys will understand, okay? You guys will understand. So I didn't want to do this in two videos. I didn't want to, bore you guys out, but I also don't know if I'll be able to do full commentary for the full time. I will try, but basically we were getting our checkpoint sieged. There wasn't like a lot happening this island, so I didn't record a lot here. I didn't really participate much this island since it really was boring, being all the way across the map from H and B. It was really just them field marching all the way across the map to Node Knock, and I wasn't really interested in all that, so I didn't get any footage before this, and that's why you're kind of only see this. But yeah, we do end up taking on some checkpoint sieges, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to do a very lengthy explanation on why I think checkpoint defenses were the most optimal compared to maybe defending towers if we built out, and it just wouldn't have really been worth it to defend towers in any case. I think it was really much better to defend here. Also, you're going to notice that they start swarming rallies for a little bit off the beginning, and I think they realize that it's not really worth it, or they're not trading well or something, because they stop swarming, and I will explain a little bit on why that is. So if you see those little buffs in the top left corner, if you click on the buff thing, you will notice in the buff screen that there's a 50% damage increase on all damage on rallies and a 50% damage increase on garrisons, right? And this might seem like nothing to you, because you might be like, well, it just evens out, right? Well, yes and no, because if you're running rally, or if you're, just got a tower or something, that means that tower, that rally is much more anti-swarm, much less friendly for players to just start throwing their troops at, right? And I think that kind of helped our rallies kind of perform better, even if like the damage increase was kind of offset a bit by the rally obviously having the damage increase. You guys get the point, right? Like the swarms were kind of being damaged more due to the fact of that. But why I didn't really want to build up mid, I had to convince Nam not to build up mid, because he had been formulating this whole plan about how we would build up mid, how we would have a defensive plan, and all this type of stuff. And I was like, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. That's not going to work. That's not smart, and we should kind of play smarter than that. So one of the most aggravating things during this whole event was people reinforcing, a rally or a checkpoint from further away. It's like, walk up to the checkpoint before reinforcing, man. You got so many marchers over here waiting to reinforce, and then you have people joining the checkpoint from like 30 seconds away with like 100k troops, 100k troops, 100k troops, and that adds up, dude. Like, I could get a full march in 1 second that it takes you 30 seconds to march up, and people think that doesn't matter. But when you're missing out on, like, 30 seconds of having 300k, 400, 500k troops, right? Because people are deciding to just march from afar, we're trading vastly worse. And although our trades on these, on the checkpoint weren't that bad, the fact that we were trading as bad as we were was probably would have been attributed to the checkpoint, like, being reinforced from so far away. Those trades could have been even better. Like, why are you doing that to me? Why are you making me so freaking pissed? Like, damn, man. But, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just getting passionate over here, okay? But let's talk a bit about why I don't think building up mid was very advantageous, and why I think it actually would have been disadvantageous to go for a defensive play up mid. And this is why I actually say, that devs needed, because I guess they're adding it now, to add a level 8 or level 7, whatever, village in the middle of the map, or ruins in the middle of the map, to kind of encourage and entice fighting. Because otherwise, why would a weaker group, because obviously HMB at this point was much stronger than us, they were 20 something plus billion, and if we build up mid, we obviously are not going to be able to go into a offensive on their towers. We're not going to be able to make plays on them, and we would have to go purely on the defensive. And I was like, nom, 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 nom. Listen to me, man. Listen to me. Why would we go up mid where we're going to give them the advantage of sieging on multiple towers? Because let's say that we have 10 towers at mid or more, and they decide to connect to all those. Sorry, I'm like stumbling on my words. They decide to connect to all those towers, right? Not only are we going to have suboptimal garrison captains on some of these towers, because, we can only have our best garrison captains on so many towers, and then we start spreading thin. We start spreading our reinforcements, our troops into so many towers. And if they decide to rally, let's say 5 towers at once, swarm 5 towers at once, we will probably end up breaking eventually because we cannot maintain that kind of pressure. We don't have the garrison captains to take the best of trades on every single tower. We don't have the best garrison captains to kind of take on these swarms on every single tower. And I was like, yo, we should just defend these checkpoints because that means we can defend two specific points of siege. Not only can we focus our reinforcements on these two areas, we don't have to worry about spreading thin on towers as well. And like I said, suboptimal garrison captains, people don't understand how vital that is, right? Because, this is something I always do. I look for the weakest tower, I look for the easiest place to kind of strike and take advantage of. And, also, I want to mention something. The fact that we can just go full defensive here and avoid kind of giving HMB a win is kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie. Like, the fact that we are allowed to do this is kind of stupid. But let me continue on my rant, right? So I will say the only downside to holding a checkpoint is if you lose it, you don't have burn time like a tower, right? You lose that thing right away. And this is why you have to be very vigilant with a checkpoint, because if you lose that thing, you're a little screwed. But I will also say I'd rather lose a checkpoint and have to defend the towers behind the checkpoint than defend towers at mid, because you got to understand there's that march time, and us having the walk advantage into like our territory is much more advantageous. So even if they took this checkpoint, right, they have to march all the way through that. They maybe have to rally towers all the way through that. So instead of maybe rallying a tower that's like 1 meter away, they have to do one that's 2 feet away, right? And this makes it much easier for us to refresh our marches for field control, plus running counter rallies, doing all this kind of stuff, right? And it makes our situation overall better. Not only that, just defending the checkpoint like this is much better because we can run counter rallies that are kind of harder to hit. We can kind of just run counter rallies from behind checkpoint at times. And we can kind of reinforce these rallies very freely. And you see this here. We'll be running multiple counter rallies at a time, sitting behind checkpoint, having people just flooding reinforcements in the rally and the checkpoint. And this hold was kind of impressive, if I'm being for real. Like just honestly, like being able to the fact that we were able to hold all these rallies up while holding the checkpoint is kind of crazy. But I mean, I guess that is just big alliance activities there. But yeah, you guys get my point, right? There was just too many upsides to holding a checkpoint compared to holding a tower. It just doesn't make sense to go up mid where you're kind of able to give them all these access points. And not only that, that you are spreading yourself thin. If you're getting swarmed on multiple towers, your alliance only has so many troops, right? We don't have unlimited troops. So the second we run out, we are done. Whereas if we're holding a checkpoint, the possibility or chances of them swarming that checkpoint for the full, continuous time and that being their only siege point is just unlikely compared to maybe having multiple towers, points of siege they can attack, and then them deciding, all right, let me swarm this tower, try to weaken this one. Let me have maybe these amount of towers getting swarmed. So not only are trades worse, we are probably going to be melting faster. Whereas if we are defending only a checkpoint, even if they wanted to, like swarm 10 towers at once, right? They can only swarm 2 checkpoints at once, meaning that the amount of time that it takes to melt us down is vastly dropped, right? And I just want to kind of point that out to kind of explain that I think this is one reason, by the way, that I think ROK dropped as fast as they did. If they held specifically on the checkpoint and just gave up not holding any towers up mid, I think that they maybe could have held out for the full duration if they kind of exhausted DHX and just made them think, yeah, this isn't worth it, right? Because, I feel like they were getting swarmed on a lot of towers. They weren't able to have proper garrison captains on every tower. And not only that, they were also this is another thing I noticed. They didn't even have all the people ported up, right? You need so much room to be able to port up multiple alliances of players up in that mid area. They didn't have everybody they wanted ported up. And you would have so many people running through the checkpoint to reinforce towers on the other side of the checkpoint, man. Like, I just don't understand why you would go up mid unless there's a ruins there, right? It just doesn't make sense, at least as the weaker group or the group with the most disadvantageous kind of situation, right? Like I was like, if Nam builds up mid, man, I'm gonna just smack myself in the face and wake up from this dream, because there's no way Nam builds up mid, right? And Nam did listen to my advice, thankfully. I kind of advised out why I thought this would be the best thing to do, because I understand people wanting to have the maximum amount of fun, right? If we build up mid, maybe we would have, but we 100% would have gotten slaughtered, right? We would have had a lot of bases getting zeroed and all this type of stuff. It's not worth it looking at it from a strategical kind of point of view, right? And it did make for a good fight for us, at least, being able to just play defensive like this, and it made it kind of fun. Being that we were like an iron wall, kind of just being hammered into, right? But I do think I talked about it for a good bit. I kind of explained, why it was so good. And not only that, let me also say this. This is a territory advantage, right? We do have our territory buffs applied through this checkpoint around the area, right? So, I mean, overall, this is just a really good situation. And we don't have to kind of worry about field control that much, I don't think we would have been able to even control the field because H&B just too strong, man. They have too many whales here. It's literally impossible, and just fighting them is pointless. You know what I mean? Like when you get to this size, it kind of becomes pointless to fight someone, maybe 5-6 billion stronger than you, especially at our size. Like we are already considered one of the biggest alliances, right? At like, I think we were 16 billion at the time. HMB's what, like 22, 23 billion. It just doesn't make much sense. Not only that, they just have more troops to expand than us, and this situation is just like rough. Exactly that. I will say, coming from Red Legion, I think it was Red, right? But Red was attacking us, and honestly felt like they needed to cancel more. So they were running a lot of rallies, and they ran them to Red, and it just didn't make much sense to me because if I get wanting to help your allies and stuff, but the trades were not worth it. It was like 1 to 4, 1 to 5 rally trades a lot. At least the ones I saw from RPG. I know a lot of the others were like 1 to 2 and stuff. Those are a little bit more even. But a lot of the rallies were being run to red. Like you don't want to run a rally to red because I explain this a lot, but I'll explain it again. So let's say you're going to war. You have 100 soldiers, you have 100 troops, whatever, and you're fighting someone who's sending out 100 troops as well. Well, those heads are kind of even. If you have every troop fighting 1 for 1, that will be more of an even fight. And it's kind of just based on how, maybe how well the troops are trained. So maybe the troop stats, right? So that troop will be doing better based off that. Well, if you're sending out 50 troops versus 100 troops, right? Let's say the stats are equally the same. Let's say all these troops are trained the exact same. Or in our case, our stats are actually vastly better because the people who were rallying us from red maybe had purple or even at times green gear or like blue gear. And it just didn't make much sense to me. I get they were doing counter damage. And especially this being the fact, I was kind of confused why the rallies doing counter damage were sending like infantry squads because I feel like range or riders would have done much better since H&B and whatnot was tanking the main majority of the damage and the rest of the rallies were taking counter damage. I'm pretty sure like I saw the range rallies doing 2 times better from the same person, and then they were still saying like range. So they were still saying like infantry rallies, and it really confused me, right? But let's say you send out 50 troops for 100 troops, right? And you go fight those 100 troops, and they're equally as trained as your 50 troops. Well, um, and like I said, either that or even better trained because I'm kind of saying it in the way of their stats being equal or their stats being better. Well, our stats were vastly better because we have max gear fighting people with like purple or blue or something type of gear, and armaments are even better. And if you're running those rallies into the point where they're maybe down to 1 million troops, well, that's literally half the amount of troops fighting our 2 million troops, basically. And then if you're running it to 100K troops versus that, amount of troops, you're just taking worse and worse trades. And I think when you get to the point of, let's say you can send a 2 million rally, right? You can send a 2 million troop rally, boom, you're fighting 2 million troops. Once that rally hits maybe 1.5 million, I'd say maximum, like you'd let it drop, is to maybe 1.2 million. Cancel that rally, reset the rally. It might take longer, right? But if you're taking trades like 1 to 2 and all this type of stuff, it doesn't make sense, right? You don't want to run a rally into the ground like that. And it's like the people who are joining are the ones forking the loss at the end of the day. And I don't know, man. Like you'll understand when you see this rally afterwards, like the reports. I will say the rallies ran for so long that I don't have the full extent of the reports. I think I have maybe uh I would like to say like 3/5 of them because I'm pretty sure the rallies ran for nearly 3 hours. It was maybe like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. And they ran. I maybe got like an hour and a half of the reports, or maybe a little bit more than that, but that was really it. I couldn't even see H&B's rally report. I asked a few H&B players, but none of them could provide me the report. I really couldn't find it. I actually would have shown it. I do think that H&B was the only rally that probably would have traded positive against us because of all this other, like all these other rallies kind of hitting us. I feel like their debuffs, the rally, all that kind of stuff, it should have really played a role. But like I said, I couldn't get H&B's rally report, so I don't really understand how much damage they did to us and how much damage we did to them. So I can't really comment on that. But the other reports were disgusting, and I do have them. Not all of them. I mean, there were still some missing. And if I can find it in here, I will show you guys what I was talking about. But I'll say Rampage, for example. He would lose like 20 million might, right? Rallying our checkpoint, the rally would lose 20 million might, maybe kill off 4 to 5 million of our might. I feel like they ran a range rally and they traded maybe, for example, like 10 million might for 20 million might or something like that. Like it was way better. So I feel like they should have been running more range rallies, like I said, especially since they were only taking counter damage and keeping these rallies full weren't as hard. Another thing I will note is the fact that these guys aren't like the exact same like legion means that they will be doing damage to each other if they're using like AoE heroes. So using heroes like Lewis is a bit harmful, and they're kind of forced to maybe confine what type of heroes they're able to use because like I said, they can't use like AoE type heroes, or they might be doing damage to actual other rallies, kind of helping them here siege these checkpoints. So it's a little bit rough in that regard. But yeah, I mean, we can't really go for field control here. It's just like too many T6 players, and nobody's trying to like fork over big hospital build to fight a useless fight. Because I feel like even if we made a push for this, we'd kind of be hurting ourselves more if we weren't able to kind of hold ourselves up. And I guess that's the end of the reports here. But you see here, right? You see like 5 for 22 million there, and you'll see more as we scroll down. This one was better. It was almost 7 million for like 9 million. Way better of a report. This one, that's like 1 million for 14 million. I don't even think that guy was T6, so I don't know why he was rallying. That was like a 2-for-1 trade. This one was way better. You see that? It's Chun and Carry, and this is like 11 million for 14 million. This one was actually, this was a negative trade. I didn't even notice that we traded negative there. This one was a bit positive. And you see here, we have a lot of 1.5 million in our garrison constantly when they kind of start hitting us. And that kind of goes to show we had too many people reinforcing from afar, and it was doing us massive pain. This dude is using Chun and Alex, and I will say, you might be like, why the heck is he doing that? And this is probably so he could buff the main rally or buff other rallies, and that was kind of smart on his part if he was doing that solely as a buffer. This is another report. This is blue and purple gear. That one was kind of disgusting. I mean, honestly, a lot of these reports really hurt, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to clown these alliances. I think it might sound like I'm being condescending, but I am just trying to give advice on the overall situation. I think like they could have played this better. And I think, they maybe were running too many rallies, right? Like maybe it would have just been better if they had one main rally leader running rallies, right? And like their strongest player, because I think they were struggling to kind of keep a lot of these rallies full. And this made it even worse since they weren't able to keep these rallies full. A lot of them were running to red and just dying off. They should have just had one rally captain, ran that rally, and kind of repeat that process, because then they could have focused on keeping one rally full instead of having to focus on keeping 3, 4, or 5 rallies full, right? I think they were kind of just spreading themselves too thin. And yeah. Okay, and that is it to the rallies, really. I think there will be one more I'll show in the further half of this video. I mean, I guess it's already the further half of the video, but near the end of the video, right? We had a little bit of field fighting here. I think they do come soon. The footage should come soon, but I don't know. It was something weird, okay? So we basically were building up on the bottom checkpoint, right? We were just goofing around, and HMB just random swarms the checkpoint, right? They just random swarm the checkpoint. They were like just being there, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And this is something that irritated me so much, okay? We were here, we were defending the checkpoint, and then people are reinforcing from far away, right? Like, why are you reinforcing from 40 seconds away? I'm sitting right in front of the freaking checkpoint, man. I can send my troops in here, and dude, like, I almost went mental, man. I almost go mental whenever I see this, right? I almost go mental every time I see this, where people are just reinforcing from far away and nobody listens. I say it in chat so much, and I'm like, guys, stop reinforcing from far away. Guys, stop reinforcing from far away. And nobody listens. Like, you see these marches, right? Like, I mean, the ones close, they're valid, but you see these ones marching from further away. It's like, why? Why? Just let the ones who are sitting by the checkpoint pop in the checkpoint. Like, I don't think people understand how much damage you're doing to the players already in there. by joining from far away, right? Like not I don't know, man. Like just walk up to it first. Walk up to it first. It applies to like a village and everything the exact same way. Unless like you're struggling to already keep that thing full, right? And you're kind of just rushing there as fast as possible. That's maybe the exception. But you know, I need this room. I need this room to hop in, make our trades better. And if you're joining from far away and we only have like, let's say 1,000,000 troops in the checkpoint actively, and you have 1,000,000 troops marching from a minute away, you're screwing everybody in there over, making their damage, their trades even worse. Like, please, 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 please. And I'm sorry, guys. I know it sounds like I'm going mental over here, but that's because I am, okay? I am going mental. These guys were about to make me just like have a breakdown. I was having like a vein popping out of the side of my head, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it did all end up working out. You will see it in the report here in a few minutes or in like a minute or so. The trades were kind of disgusting. Like the swarms really shouldn't have happened. Also, one of the marches got on the other side of the checkpoint. I don't know how that happened, but that made it just swarm it really easy because then we could just swarm it down. Nobody could kind of touch us in the field. And yeah, I mean, they did end up rallying the checkpoint, but that was after the swarms already started, which made no sense. And, you know, the rally performed really well, but I think it's because of these swarms that it performed so well. And this is disgusting right here, guys. Look, that's almost 200K mine for 2.7 million, 700K for 2.2 million. 600K for 2 million. Like, dude, this one was I think that one was honestly kind of crazily close, like trade wise. Um, they don't really commit any of these swarms here. I think they'll commit in a second. Should be some reports. Yeah, I feel like the range reports always do the best. I don't know why. 600K for 1.6 million right there. 1 million for 2 million. Like, dude, why are whales crazy, man? Why 700K for 3.3 million? Like, don't run the marches to red at least, right? Like, refresh those marches at the very least when they're getting halfway, you know, when they're yellow. 600K for 2 million or so. 400K for 2 million. Dude, like these are just crazy. Like I don't understand why whales are so willing to swarm like this. And this is why I wanted to pop in so bad. Not only because, you know, our trades are worse, right? But dude, give me some T6 kills, okay? Give me a few T6 kills. I deserve it, you know? I deserve it. 400K for 2 million, 800K for 1.1, you know, 1 million for 2.1 million. Like, dude, it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me that whales do this on a whim, right? Like I'm never swarming a checkpoint in my life unless I see unless I see I don't even think like a T5 garrison captain would change anything. I'd have to see like a gathering hero on the wall, right? I have to see a gathering hero worth smacking for me to swarm that checkpoint. But yeah, I mean, that's about it to the video. There should only be like a minute or so left. I think it's like random stuff going on. And yeah, I do appreciate you guys as always for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed our little checkpoint fiasco. And you guys have a great day or night though. And I will see you guys in the next video. And that is it. So yeah, you guys have a great day. Peace out.